What's up, everybody? Welcome to my Royal Let's Play. So this is the first episode, and so in this episode, what we're gonna do is just kind of introduce the different kingdoms, different royal and noble houses, and so what I'll do is I'll just go to the manage households, and you can just see all of the different houses that I have. And we'll also just I guess the best way to just do is just go world to world instead of going to manage households. So let's go to world, world by world, and just meet the different noble houses. So the first world you see is Brindleton Bay. And so Brindleton Bay is the seat of one of the greatest realms. It is the, I don't know what I'm gonna call it. I guess the Brindleton Empire or the Holy Simlish Empire, but it's basically a copy of the Holy Roman Empire. And so you see here, this is the imperial family, the Brindletons. So the thing about this empire is that actually, instead of it just being one imperial, one royal family, there are multiple royal families that it goes through. And so House Brindleton is just the one that is the major one. And I kind of wanted to base the House Brindleton off of the Habsburgs a little bit, even though right now, there are only 4 people in this family. And I actually think one of the people in this family is related to, I'm not sure, but I think that she's related to another, I might be wrong, but yeah, this is the Brindleton family. You see, you have Charlotte Brindleton, Neville, this is the Emperor, Diane, and David. And so you can see I'm using the royalty mod, and with the royalty mod I can have certain traits like the monarch trait, and I can also have certain house traits too, like the royal residence trait here, which this is for the royal family. Alright, and so House Brindleton, their seat is the Archduchy of Brindleton Bay. And so it's the Archduchy because it's not just Brindleton Bay. Brindleton Bay is just one of the duchies that they have. But they also have Newcrest, and I'm not sure. I think Newcrest is the only other one. But yeah, and so so you have, other than the Brindleton family, House Brindleton, you also have House Whiskerman. And you can see that I actually split up Brent and Brant. And so now you have Brent Whiskerman, and then you have House Hecking, which is where Brent was before. And now it's just Brant by himself. And so I want to do a storyline with the two of them. Maybe, I don't know, I might do it. The story with the two of them is that in the kingdom, in the empire, actually, it's kind of illegal for, same-sex people to have, to be married. So you can't have 2 guys marrying each other. And so, in a way, their love is forbidden, and so I just want to see where that, story goes. If it goes anywhere. I think I might be kind of busy, because you notice that the Heckings, House Hecking is kind of a low-tier house. It is over Sable Square. And so usually what I do is I broke up all of the neighborhoods, I broke up all of the worlds into different duchies. So you have this duchy being Brindleton Bay, and then I broke up all of the neighborhoods into different baronies, meaning that this guy is the Baron of so Brant, Lord Brant Hecking is the Baron of Sable Square. And the Whiskerman family here, so you can see Brent with his father Harold. Harold is the Baron of Whiskerman's Wrath. And so that's what I did there. So far, we don't have a Baron for Dead Grass Isle. Maybe it might be like, one of the Brindleton siblings, take over this area. Who knows? But also in the Brindleton Empire, well, first of all, in the Duchy of Brindleton, you also have Newcrest. These are they're direct vassals to the Brindleton family. And the Newcrest family are dukes. So they're the Dukes of Newcrest. And so you have James, Violet, Esme, a lot of like kids. Leah, Roland, I think, is the heir to Newcrest, and Jonathan. And so maybe Jonathan might end up getting his own lordship here or here. I leave these places blank just to move in additional people. Like if these like kids, grow up and they need somewhere to stay, they can move out of this Duke's household and move into their own like barony or something. All right, and so that was Newcrest. I'm trying to think, is there anything else with Brindleton Bay? So Newcrest and Brindleton Bay are together, and there are no other places with that. But in the Brindleton Empire, I call it the Brindleton Empire. I think it might be like the Simlish Empire. The Simlish Empire again is based on the West, like Holy Roman Empire, but it's also based on like the United States too. Like any world with the geography of the United States, I put here. And so you saw with Brindleton Bay is more like northeast, so it's kind of like Maine or like Massachusetts or something. It gives you that kind of feel. So this is like a northeast region, and I also did the same thing with Newcrest. Newcrest is, I don't know, it's kind of like Midwest field in my opinion, but I feel like you can combine like Northeast and Midwest, and so that's what you have. Those two together is because they have the same like geography type. And so the next one is like the Southern geography type. For the Southern like kingdom or archduchy rather, you have Willow Creek, and this is like I picked Willow Creek as Southern because it's kind of based off of New Orleans. If you look at Willow Creek, it's based off of New Orleans. It has that New Orleans feel in the New Orleans like architecture and building designs. And also Magnolia Promenade is also based off of New Orleans. So I put these two together. I think these two are the only two together for like Southern feel. And so you have House Willow. Basically, this is House Willow of Sage Estates. House Willow actually has two like houses. Like it has two different like holds. So you have this guy who is the Archduke of Willow Creek, David Willow. He's holding like all of this in Magnolia Promenade. Then you have the Baroness of Crawdad Quarter, who is his cousin. His cousin is holding this, and it's Jacqueline Willow. His cousin's holding this, and he also has an uncle, and his uncle is just like, there to help his cousin find a husband. On some Game of Thrones stuff, maybe they might get married. Like, maybe he might marry his niece to keep the Willow name in Crawdad Quarter, or maybe he might get her, like, seal a deal to get her married to her cousin, because then they could keep the Willow name on this estate. Because usually women in these types of like feudal societies, women tend to not like take their name. Like they tend to take their husband's names. So I want to kind of like keep it to that tradition. even though nowadays that tradition is kind of outdated, it's antiquated, and nobody really does, like, maybe people still do it, but if people are still doing it, it's because, like, oh, it's tradition, you know. Uh, so then we also have House Goth. I like this family because I actually made. I didn't make them vampires, but I uploaded. I downloaded a version of the Goth family that's vampires, and I like, you know, I don't know. I like them being, you know, cults, you know. And so of course you have Mortimer, Bella, and Cassandra and Alexander. So essentially, they are the barons of Pendula View. This is empty. This is empty. So this could be for whoever, you know, whoever needs to. If we have to expand these households a little bit more, especially the Willow household, maybe even the Goth household, maybe like, you know, if Alexander has, you know, Mortimer could have another son, and if he has another son, Alexander's gonna get this Pendula View, and maybe the son could try to get Courtland Lane. I'm sorry, did I say that right? Courtyard Lane, or what was the other one? Oh, Foundry Cove. Okay. And then, of course, you have Magnolia Promenade, which is also part of the South, or a part of Willow Creek. You have House Vanderbilt, who owns this. And so, because this is like, this is one neighborhood, but it's a separate world. So it's both a world and a neighborhood. What I did here, what I'm gonna do is basically, these people are gonna be like earls. So this is the Earl of Magnolia Promenade. So they're Earl level. Earl or Countess. Or Count. However you would want to use that. I think Earl is for like English. Count is for like French and other places in Europe. Alright, and so that was the South. Now, the West is kind of tricky because there are a lot of places that have a Western feel to them, right? So, like, technically, Oasis Springs kind of has like a Western feel to it because it's like a desert. But I've actually made that more along the lines of like the Middle East. And technically, it could be the Middle East or it could be like Mediterranean. So it's definitely not gonna be Western United States. But the Western United States I have is Strangerville, Del Sol Valley. It's a lot for Western United States because Del Sol Valley is supposed to be like LA, Los Angeles. Strangerville is like probably like New Mexico or like, you know, somewhere in the desert. And you also have Evergreen Harbor, which is supposed to have like this northwest feel to it. So like Washington, Oregon. You even have also Moonwood Mill. Moonwood Mill has this like I guess like Seattle feel to it. Like I feel like it's supposed to be based off of the Twilight Town, what is it called? Forks, Washington, or whatever. I don't know what it is. I think it's Forks, Washington. Like, yeah. So this is basically Forks. Then you also have Copperdale, the newly added town. I had a difficult time trying to place this because it's supposed to be based off of Riverdale, and I don't know where Riverdale is. Like, some people say Riverdale is in Georgia. Some people say that Riverdale is in New York. Some people say it has more of like because if you look at it, it has more of a like Forks feel to it, like Twilight. And it sucks that we have two towns where you have like these evergreen trees. Actually, we have three towns with like these evergreen trees and things. It's like this field is in like 3 different towns. It's in Evergreen Harbor, it's in Copperdale, and it's in Moonwood Mill. So it's like we get this like forest types, you know, towns. We get a lot of these for some reason, but it is what it is. So we have those 3 plus Strangerville and Desolate Valley. So that's literally like 5 different places. But the main place where the Archduke is gonna be Desolate Valley, because I feel like, you know, if you're gonna have a duke in the United States, if you're gonna have an Archduke, you know, any nobility is probably gonna be in like LA, right? Or in a big city like LA. And so in the West. So it would be, you know, the Westbrook family. And I kind of like want them to kind of be like based a little bit off of like Jewish, like, you know, reminiscent of like Jewish like culture a little bit. I don't know what not necessarily Jewish culture, but like a Jewish family, like a Jewish American family. You know, you have Solomon. I don't know. I think this is supposed to say Estelle. I'm not sure. I want to say this is supposed to say Estelle. Okay. Ruthie, Ezra, Cassie, and then the little cat Boston. And so they all live here. These are the Archdukes of the West. But then there are also other households in the West. So you have. So this is. I'm just trying to go in order. Strangerville. In Strangerville, you have 2 like neighborhoods, so you have 2 barons. But this baron right here would actually be like the count of Strangerville. I feel like Strangerville would need a count because it's so small. Like even though it has 2 neighborhoods, it's so small. So the count of Strangerville would be House Roswell. I basically just updated. I'm not sure if I updated the house. I probably did it. I just made them. You know, I just changed their name to House Roswell, and so they're gonna basically be running this this area. He's at the TP, and at the TP you see House Lakota, which is basically like a Native American. I thought this would be a cool place to like put it, like a Native American noble house, and hopefully this house can kind of expand. And yeah, I really want to see this house here expand because I want to see, like, you know, it'd be like if, you know, if feudalism actually came to the United States, like if we were actually a monarchy, we would definitely have in a feudal system like maybe some like Native American vassals to these lords. It just wouldn't be like, they probably would not be as like have high status as European vassals. But yeah, I feel like that would be something that would happen if we had like a feudal system in the United States. And so we also have House. They're not Evergreen, I don't think. House Forrester. I really kind of like rushed through this one. House Forrester is probably like I copied and pasted from my old royalty save. I had a royalty family that I was gonna do, and I ended up just playing that household by itself, or that royal household by itself. And basically they were in Windenburg, but I brought them from Windenburg to Evergreen Harbor, and I wanted to have more males because I have a lot of like, especially teenage girls for some reason. Because I do like the idea of like having a house where you have to marry off all your girls. You have to figure out what you're gonna do with all your daughters and like marrying your daughters off. But so I think that's probably what we're gonna do when we do play with some of these royal families, is like try to marry the daughters off to some of these other families. And I feel like this is the older brother Thomas. I feel like Eric is probably going to end up moving into one of these other areas and becoming a baron there. And so he can probably get him a wife, you know, a noble wife and start his own noble family somewhere else. Yeah, and so I'm that's all of the empire, the Simlish Empire. The next kingdom or realm that we have is the Kingdom of Windenburg. So the Kingdom of Windenburg is going to have King Henry. Like, the focus of King Henry is going to be trying to find a wife. He might marry within his own kingdom, so he might marry a land grab, or he might find some other wife. But yeah, the focus of Windenburg is going to be the Windenburg household. I'm also going to build like a place for the prince, his son, when he has a son, his heir. I think that this would be kind of like, like how in Great Britain you have, the Queen of England, but you also have the Prince of Wales, who is the heir apparent, or, basically the crown prince, who's going to inherit the throne. And so this will be where the person who will inherit the Windenburg throne is going to be. And this is House Crumbling, of course. They're the barons that have all of this. With the Landgrab family, what I did was I kind of created additional characters. I took my inspiration for these characters from the Lannister family in Game of Thrones. So this is kind of like Tywin Lannister. This is like Jaime Lannister. And this is like Cersei Lannister. Unfortunately, I don't have anyone that's like Tyrion, because I feel like that would have been disrespectful to try to recreate Tyrion. He was my favorite character. And I just, I was thinking about a storyline where these two could be, kind of like Cersei and Jaime, where these two could kind of like get in trouble because, or have like, maybe Angelina marries into House Windenburg and ends up cheating with her brother, and so all of the kids are illegitimate. And so yeah, it depends. I don't know if like she could either marry into House Windenburg or some other house but have illegitimate children with her brother, and that could be like her downfall, so yeah, that's one storyline that I'm thinking about. But in the Kingdom of Windenburg, so you have Windenburg, but then you also have other places that Windenburg holds. Oh, I forgot one more family in Windenburg. I always forget this family, House Plax, which is another. I kind of like copied and pasted this house. You have William, Oliver, and Wilma. Yeah, straightforward. I copied and pasted this household. I am expecting, this family to just be run-of-the-mill family. I'm probably not going to play with this family that much. It's kind of like, I need nobles, and so I'm just including that. And so you have all of the nobles in Windenburg, but then you also have nobles that are under Windenburg that aren't in Windenburg. Like, I revamped. I actually need to add him to my favorite households, but this is House Strahd. And we have Vlad, who is, he's a single guy now, but he can probably end up with one of these noble brides. He is the Count of Forgotten Hollow, obviously. So you got Count Vlad. And you also have Glimmerbrook is another Windenburg. So it's kind of, I don't know. I guess I could kind of like come up with, like, in the description, a list of like where everyone is, situated. Glimmerbrook is situated in Windenburg. It is basically ran by this family here. I kind of pulled them from the gallery. This is Charisma, Charity, Chastity, and their cousin Willow. Or I think is she her? I don't think she's their cousin. I think she's like their niece. But yeah, Willow is gonna be essentially with Willow. I don't know. The whole focus will be charisma, wanting to hold power in Glimmerbrook, but she also has to marry her sisters off, and she has to marry her niece off. And so, with Glimmerbrook, there's no male heir, so that's going to be something that's going to be of a concern. It's like, oh, you know, we don't have a male heir to carry on the Glimmerbrook name. And so that's going to be one problem. And a lot of people are going to be kind of, especially a lot of the single noble men are probably going to be trying to marry into the Glimmerbrook family to take their fortune, you know, to take their hold. Another under Windenburg, another world is Britechester. Pretty straightforward. Britechester, the Earl of Britechester is just this guy here, Gregory Britechester, his wife, his daughter that he has to, she's kind of trendy, has to marry her off, and his youngest daughter that he also, when she gets older, has to marry off. Oh, sorry, I already did this one. This is part of the US, like the Simlish Empire. This is part of Windenburg as well. And this is a bigger, because this is a bigger world, this is a duchy. And so because it's a duchy, you have, and I like this house, this lot, because it is, I called it High Garden. I named it High Garden after High Garden in Game of Thrones, and it's just like, you know, I just like it gives me like this like you know, House Tyrell feel. You have Robert, his wife Nymphadora, their daughter Margaret, their son Edward, and their daughter Dorothy. And so, of course, Edward is the heir. These are dukes, so they're probably going to get a little bit more playtime than other houses because they're dukes. You know, who knows, maybe Margaret might marry, you know, into a very powerful family or something, you know. And you also have House Bagley. I like the idea of like having two houses in Henford-on-Bagley, because you have the Henford, which is a good sounding last name, and Bagley is a good sounding last name. And so I like the idea of having two houses here. So you have James and his wife Laura. I actually think James is related to Nymphadora. So I think they're like brothers and sister. And so yeah, I guess like the lore is that, you know, the Henfords, they run everything, but the Bagleys are their closest allies, and they're their stewards. So you can see like the Bagleys don't have any land, like any barony, but they are like a powerful knightly family, you know, that serves House Henford. Then you have Tartosa. Tartosa gives me this like Italy, Spain feel, you know, Mediterranean. And because it's so small, it was hard for me to like decide if it was going to be a county or a duchy, but I settled on it being a duchy, and because it has multiple places, at least it just, yeah. And like, maybe, who knows, maybe one of the Tartosa children might you know, have some land over here, and they can have their own barony, Terra Amorosa here. But right now, the family's in Porto Luminoso. But yeah, you have this family. They're more Mediterranean, Italian. Vincent, Camilla, Manuel, Courtney, and Rihanna. And they're a cute little dog, cute little Rottweiler. Yeah, this family is gonna get a little bit more playtime because it is a duchy than some of the others, but probably not as much because and also I feel like they have a lot of 2 teen children, and I feel like, you know, that's, you know, just, you know, room for drama there. All right, and so that's all of the Windenburg houses. Then you have some special like realms, like Oasis Springs is its own thing by itself. Doesn't have anything additional to it. This is again like Middle Eastern, so you have House Shah, House Nadir, Al Aziz. I pulled some of these families from the gallery. Like I created Nadir, but I pulled Al Aziz from the gallery, and I also pulled I created House Kita. I wanted to have like an African like theme like household, and I also created Al Fulani. I'm sorry, I pulled Al Fulani, the Al Fulani household from the gallery. So this family is from the gallery, and this family is from the gallery. And yeah, this is the Shah family. These are the, I don't know, I guess you could say the Sultan. The Sultan family. I guess Muhammad is the Sultan. I guess you would call his wife Shavani a sultaness, and his children like princesses, because he has all girls. This is another household where I want to like, I think this will be the main focus of like, oh, we have to marry off all the girls, because this is a very powerful like kingdom, and so this will be where like a lot of like the young like single men would want to get married into this house, like want to marry these like daughters or whatever. And so you're gonna have to marry off all of these little girls. Of course, when they get older. I like that, you know, we also have twins too, Fatima and Farah. It's cute. Yeah, so that is Oasis Springs. And we also have another standalone kingdom in Sulani. Sulani is just it by itself. just like the Shah family, the Sulani family also has nothing but girls. And so the Sulani family was kind of based off of the Little Mermaid. So you have King Triton. You also have his wife. I'm sorry, this isn't his wife. I think this is his daughter. Yeah, this is his daughter. All of them are mermaids, and of course, like if you're gonna do Sulani, you have to have mermaids. But yeah, all of these are gonna be his daughters. And so yeah, this is the eldest daughter, so she has to get, you know, married off into a nice family. I think all of his daughters are ready to get married too, because they're all young adults. And well, not all of them. I think she's a young adult. She's a young adult. She's a young adult. She's a young adult. Okay, this is a teenager. So Adrena is not ready to get married. This is the heir. So this is Arthur, teen son, and Ariel, who of course is like the Little Mermaid. I think I might want to marry Ariel into like just like maybe have a storyline featuring Ariel where she gets married to like a prince in a land like kingdom, you know. I don't know, maybe she might marry a prince in it depends on where I have a prince. Like I really don't have any like maybe she might marry an archduke instead of a prince. I don't know. Like marry you know, have a little storyline of her getting married, you know, reminiscent of The Little Mermaid. So those were the two like standalone kingdoms. Like they're like they don't have any other worlds attached to them. And then you also have the Asian or Oriental like Japanese kingdom, which is Komorebi. So you have the Ito family. I just basically gave the Ito family a big old palace, and so they're gonna be running the show here. And they also have their vassals, House Akiyama and House Kimura. And so basically, I think I pulled this family from the gallery, and I pulled. I mean, this is just, you know, a family that was already living there. I just like gave them a better looking house. And then of course, House Ito gave them a better looking house. Or actually, I gave them a palace. And so Komorebi is going to be attached to San Myshuno. So I feel like Komorebi is like the main area, and San Myshuno is like Tokyo, like the one of their holdings. And so there's only one noble family here, and it's going to be House Fing. I mean, that's it. House Fing. Yeah, House Fing is basically just, you know, the couple, the Fing couple. This is the little Simsy version, so they have a cat with them. But I don't see myself playing with this household too much, unless it's like necessary, you know. Hopefully they have kids though. Like I'm making sure that like if there's one thing that my families can do with my settings for the neighborhood stories is they can retire from their career and they can have babies. So hopefully they have kids, you know. Hopefully all of these families have more kids. I'm open to that. And when they get married off too, I want them to have kids as well. And so I think that's pretty much it. That's like all of the households. And so in the next episode, I'm actually gonna be, because I'm using the royalty mod, I have to actually assign everyone like, okay, you're a monarch. So I think most of the people who are monarchs, so I'm just like quickly looking over all of our monarchs. The actual monarchs have those traits. So Muhammad, monarch trait. I think we already saw the monarch for the Simlish Empire. Let's make sure the monarch for Windenburg also has the monarch trait. So Henry, monarch. He only has 3 traits, but yeah, he has one of them is monarch, so that's fine. We also have, so that's 1, 2, I guess Ito. Let's make sure Ito. I'm calling him Ito because I don't know his name. Let's see. Naoki Ito. We need to make him a monarch. So yeah, part of the setup is going to be making him a monarch, making all of these people his vassals. So all I have to do is make them barons. I'm not going to like focus too hard on like baron count. Like the land allotment, the land that you're given is what decides your rank. But everyone should be labeled as a noble person, you know? So I have to set up House Ito. And then also there is one more. I think Sulani is it. So there should be 5 kings. Yeah, there are going to be 5 kings, 5 kingdoms. I say kingdoms, but one is an empire, one is a sultanate. Then you have the kingdom of Windenburg, the kingdom, I guess like Sulani is a kingdom, and then I don't know what you would call Komorebi is an empire, I guess, kind of like Japan is an empire, right? So yeah, I guess we could say empire for Komorebi as well. Alright, so that is it. Hopefully you guys tune in for the next episode where we're gonna be I'm probably gonna be assigning this stuff off camera, but I'm definitely in the next episode I am definitely going to be playing in the Windenburg household. And what I'm gonna be doing is like throwing like a ball or whatever so that Henry can find him. He can invite all of the ladies to the land and he can find him a wife. So that's what you guys have to look forward to next time, is like seeing which one of these, beautiful young women Henry is gonna pick for his bride in Windenburg. Stay tuned.